So I want to talk a little bit about service in the context of 4 different scenarios, 4 different stories, as it were. And the first one I'll start with is hardware store service. You know, I'm a finance guy, so I'm not the handiest guy in the world, but I like doing things around the house when I have time and when I have the interest and when I have the ability. But inevitably, we measure the success of projects in my house by how many times I go to the hardware store. And I think, why do I like going to the hardware store? It's because they're problem solvers. These people ask questions, they figure out what I'm trying to do. You know how many types of caulk or sealers there are out there? Right? You know, is it a wet surface or a dry surface? Is it inside or outside? Is it wood or concrete? Is it going to be in the sun? Are you going to paint it? Is it clear? You know, I think sometimes the answers are easier than the questions, right? So you gotta, you know, when I go to the hardware store, I walk in and there's like 5 guys looking at me and they're waiting for me to challenge them. And I love that experience. And I think what problem solvers have and what we still need to appreciate is experience, you know? We appreciate that you need experience. Here's a fact for you. If you call any one of our 15 associates, not the advisors, I took them out of this group, but there's 15 licensed associates. On average, they have 12 years of experience. So if you call your advisor, and Bob or I are on the phone, or whoever it might be, and you get one of the wonderful people on our teams, there's an average chance that that person is going to have 12 years of experience in the industry. I think that's a lot. And I think we have to value experience in the service world, which leads me to my second experience. My dentist is one of the coolest guys I know, you know, and I like him not just because he's a good dentist. I like him fine because he knows who I am. We talk about the stock market. Of course, I usually has his hands in my mouth while we're doing that. He knows my kids' names. He asks about them. But I love my dentist because he's efficient and he's on time. There's another thing that I think we've lost a little bit of. I had last week broke a tooth. Now, I have horrible teeth. I have crowns on every tooth. I thought I couldn't break them anymore, but now I broke one of the crowns. So, of course, I did it at 9 o'clock at night. My dentist office opens at 7 in the morning. I'm on the phone at 7:01, and this wonderful woman says 2 things to me. She says, "We're going to fix it, and what does your day look like?" So, got to the dentist at 11:30, waited all of 20 seconds. They called me in and literally was out the door in half an hour and have things fixed temporarily, and then have an appointment soon to get things fixed permanently. That's what service is to me. You know, we have whole industries now that don't care to be on time. You know, and again, I don't want to pick on people, but I built a house 4 years ago that my builder was the best. But still, hey, we might be there next week, we might not. How often do you go to an appointment and know you're going to wait in the lobby for 20 minutes? You know, I told my girls this growing up, being on time is a courtesy. Because if you're late, you're telling somebody that your time is more important than their time. My dentist is telling me every time I go there that I'm important, and I think that's good service. What does that take? Well, it takes a commitment to do that, but it also takes having enough people. My second interesting fact about our industry, it's a few years old right now, but the SEC did a report a few years back. For the average advisor in this industry has 1,273 clients. I did the math the other day. For each of our licensed associates at Landaas Company, we have 209 clients. So what that means, I think, to me, is every time you call one of us, there's 6 people calling somebody on average in some other firm in this industry. So it's not that this stuff happens by accident, it's that we consciously decide to hire enough people to get the job done. I think that's a big deal. Third thing, I'm going to call this my suit guy. I've had to struggle for all these years to find the right suit guy, because A, I'm too cheap to spend too much money, and B, I have this really goofy, weird dimensional body that always just takes. If I get a decent suit, they got to alter it so much it ends up being too expensive, and it never fits anyway. So a couple years ago, a buddy of mine said, go see my buddy Naz in the 3rd Ward. Young guy started his own thing and does custom suits for not much more than what you'll pay for a regular suit. And it just like changed. It was an altering experience for me because I struggled with this stuff for years. So I go to this guy, and what does he do? He gets to know me. How does he get to know me? He pulls all these fabrics out. He's asking me all these questions. First time I bought a suit, he measured me 27 different ways. It took like 2 hours. It was unbelievable to me. But the first suit I got, I put it on, and I was like, it's the first time in my life I realized what it was like to have a suit fit. And I know that doesn't sound like much, but it does. You know, if you feel good, you work good. You know, I mean, it was kind of a big deal. I go in there now, and I don't have to tell him anything. He'll just kind of say, what are you looking for? And I'll say, you know, another thing my wife will ask, which blue or gray did you get this time? You know. But I like to mix things up. Sometimes I get some different colored stripes, but I'll be there 10 or 15 minutes now, and he'll give me 5 or 6 things. I'll point to 2 of them, and I'll be out the door. And when I come back, all the other decisions he'll made because he knows me. And what does that mean? You know, it means there's still things out there that are very personal experiences. In our business, I think risk is a very personal thing. I think assessing risk can be very academic, but I also think it can be very personal. I had a client a few months back who immigrated from Cuba as a small child. She's terrified right now. You know, whether she should be or not is a political discussion, but I'm telling you as a statement of fact, she's scared. So we reduced risk in her portfolio, not because the questionnaire said that or the grid said that or some academic study said that. We reduced her risk because it made her feel better. And how do you do that if you don't know people? And part of my job is to know you better than you know yourself sometimes, and to manage your portfolio for the potential that may come, not in terms of us guessing what may happen, but the probability of all things that may happen. I mean, who knows if you have an illness to deal with, or who knows if you may be concerned about the security of your job. Who knows if there's generational planning or other issues that matter to you more than just that return in your portfolio. Fourth thing, I'm going to call this Lisa Edgar service. You guys know Lisa Edgar, our receptionist. You know how much I think she's like the best thing ever. A couple months ago, I lost a good friend of mine, and one of the comments that one of his friends made at the funeral was that when he walked into a room and there were 1,000 people, he made you feel like you were the only person in the room. And I think to myself, isn't that really the definition of service, right? Lisa Edgar makes me feel every day like I'm the only guy that works there. I think when I see her interact with you guys, she makes you feel like you're the only people in the world, you know. Here's something to think about. Who's the only person in our enterprise that all of you have met or spoken to at one point in time? It isn't me. It isn't even Bob. It's Lisa Edgar. You know, and what does that mean? What does it take to be like that? It takes people that care. That's all. Hiring good people that care. You know, and I think for what we do, it's about investing, but it's about so many other things. There's all the planning issues. You know, I always tell people, I'll help you any way I can. People call me on the weekends, they're buying a car. Hey, which deal should I get? I've made it a point to put my cell phone number on my business card. You know, I assume that you'll respect my time, but I also really want to be there if you need me, for whatever that is. And I think that's what we're trying to do here. You know, I think that's part of what service is. It's not my job, it's what can I do to help you? And there's no better person I know that represents that than Lisa Edgar. So I think about service and I think about the future. I want to tell you that we're committed to service, you know, and that there's always going to be a bunch of people, if I have anything to do about it, that are going to care about you deeply. You know, a lot of people have asked us about some of these regulations through the Department of Labor and some of the other things that are happening. And I think some of it's good, some of it's not. But at the end of the day, you either care or you don't. And if you care right now, you're going to care after the regulations are passed. If you don't, you won't. You'll find ways around the regulations. I don't believe that the 4 things that I just mentioned will be replicated by artificial intelligence or some robo-investor. But that's just me, you know. I think it's a shame that when you get good service anymore, it's almost a surprise to you. Shouldn't be that way. So in closing, I would just say that it's not my place to suggest to you that we offer good service, but it's every bit of my place to say to you that we're committed to it. We're going to do the best we can to help you in the future. So thank you very much for our relationship, and look forward to the years ahead. Bob?